Chapter 1978. This palm was very casual. In his eyes, this palm could easily kill Lin Yi, but he didn't expect that Lin Yi also pushed out a palm as if he wanted to take this attack head-on. Moreover, Lin Yi's expression was like a smile that wasn't a smile, as if he wasn't afraid of this palm at all. Although the man in black was a bit confused, he didn't think too much about it. He naturally knew that this was a main road. Although he was from an ancient noble house and wasn't afraid of ordinary people, some things couldn't be overdone. After all, there was an ancient agreement. Bang! The two palms collided, and a muffled sound was heard. This sound made the black-clothed man relax, because he couldn't feel much power from Lin Yi at all. It seemed that Lin Yi was just a normal person. He had thought too much. However, in the next moment, the black-clothed man was stunned, because from Lin Yi's palm, a huge wave of qi suddenly came, instantly entering his meridians. In an instant, he felt as if a wave of qi that could topple mountains and overturn the seas surged over, breaking all the meridians in the black-clothed man's body. You're an early-stage Earth class. The man in black widened his eyes in disbelief. He didn't think that there would be an Earth class beside Su Shihan. Could it be that Feng Tianlin really valued Su Shihan that much? Thinking up to here, Feng Samlei suddenly felt a little sad. He was a subordinate of Feng Tianlin's wife. The reason he came here was to secretly kill Su Shihan. This time, he got the news from the third son of Feng family, Feng Tianhu. He thought that without Feng Sanhuang, Feng Samlei could easily kill Su Shihan. But Feng Samlei smiled bitterly in his heart. He wanted to spread the news that there was a master beside Su Shihan, but he knew that it was just wishful thinking. In front of an Earth-class master, running away was just wishful thinking. Plus, if he was caught by Lin Yi, and if he were to be interrogated, then the situation would be unbearable. Thinking up to here, Feng Samlei suddenly had a sudden burst of energy. He used all the strength in his body and slapped towards the remaining man in black, easily killing him. Then, he waved his hand and slapped toward his own face. Bang! The masked man's head was smashed by himself. His brain was broken beyond recognition, and his entire head had exploded. It was very disgusting. Lin Yi was secretly on guard. He was afraid that he would harm Su Shihan at the last moment, but he didn't think that this guy would kill his own people and then commit suicide. This kind of strange situation caught Lin Yi off guard. Originally, Lin Yi didn't kill him. Instead, he injured him to bring him back and interrogate him. He wanted to know who sent this guy. But this masked man was very decisive. He killed the only survivor of his own group and then committed suicide. It was a very cruel way to commit suicide. Looking at the mask of the masked man, and then looking at his broken head, Lin Yi vaguely guessed his purpose. He masked his face, which meant that he didn't want anyone to see or recognize him. He committed suicide in this way to destroy his own head so that no one would be able to recognize him. This person was very loyal. As for the other small fries who weren't practitioners, they probably weren't important people. He wouldn't be able to find anything from their faces. Thinking of this, Lin Yi couldn't help but sigh. It seemed that he was a bit careless. He only thought about Su Shihan's safety. He didn't think that the masked man would commit suicide. But it was already like this. Lin Yi couldn't do anything. Although it happened very fast, almost 2 to 3 minutes, Lin Yi saw the cars coming from behind and behind. He didn't dare to delay anymore. He ran to the 2 Audi A6 in front of the car and slapped them to the side of the road. Then, he quickly jumped into the Grand Cherokee and stepped on the accelerator. Su Shihan's face was very pale. Although she was in the car, she heard everything that happened outside. She also knew that these 4 people came for her. But who sent these 4 people? What was their purpose? Although Su Shihan had experienced similar kidnappings before, it wasn't as thrilling as this. The criminals' plans were all killed in the cradle by the police, and the people she faced weren't as vicious as this. In the end, they chose to commit suicide in such a cruel way. You're not scared, right? Lin Yi, on the other hand, had been through too many dangerous situations. What happened just now wasn't dangerous at all in his eyes. He'd even been stopped by the blood-clothed Yellow Spring sect before, and he'd even been beaten by 3 Earth-class Book C Pavilion. Book C Pavilion EF equals therefore. What happened just now seemed too ordinary. It's okay. Su Shirhan patted her chest. Her chest rose and fell, but it betrayed her true thoughts. She was indeed very nervous. Who did you offend recently? Lin asked. These people are obviously coming for you. I offended anyone? I don't think so. Su Shirhan shook her head. If you want to talk about a sinner, it would be Dr. Kang's medical company. Last time, I attended your product launch. Other than that, I didn't offend anyone. Kong family, impossible. Lenny denied this possibility. If they want to find someone, they should be looking for me. Plus, they wouldn't send such a weak person. Then I really can't think of who I offended. Su Shirhan seriously thought about it. Forget it. Don't think about it. Give me that Feng San Wang's number. Lenny said, Feng San Wang? Why do you want his number? Su Shirhan was dazed. He's your driver. He follows you everywhere you go. I'll ask him to help me think. Lin, he didn't say much to Su Shirhan. Intuition told Lin that Feng San Wang should be the person protecting Su Shirhan. The masked man also said that he didn't think that there would be someone protecting Su Shirhan here. In other words, Su Shirhan also had someone protecting her over there. The only possibility was Feng San Wang. So, Linny planned to tell this to Feng San Wang. He wanted him to investigate and see if Su Shirhan had offended anyone. Oh, okay. Su Shirhan didn't think much about it. She nodded and told Lin Feng San Wang's number. Lin wrote down the number. He didn't call in front of Su Shirhan. Instead, he called Yang Huaijuan. Captain Eagle, are you looking for me? Huaijuan picked up the phone. Chapter 1979. Yep, Junzi, just now on the airport highway, 4 Audi cars intercepted me. 2 of them were killed by me, and the other 2 committed suicide. Bring some men to control these corpses first. I'm afraid they'll destroy the evidence. Lin, he said worriedly. Since the masked man could commit suicide in such a way, Lin, he was afraid that there would be people coming to take the bodies away. What? Someone blocked you? Huaijuan paused. What's going on? Which force is it? Noble House, or... If it's someone from Noble House, it's best to let the investigation department do it. I don't know yet, but they're Mystic Late Phase Peak. Lenny said. Then I'll tell Captain Feng Tianlong. There's a practitioner. They should be the ones to deal with it, Huaijuan said. All right, Lenny nodded. Shirhan, on the other hand, was confused. She didn't know what a Mystic Late Phase Peak was. What was a practitioner? She'd never come into contact with these things before. She'd heard Meng Yao and Yushu talking about Xiao Xiao before, and Tang Yun. Shirhan sighed as she thought of this girl. He drove Shirhan to the hotel, and no one blocked them on the way. It seemed like there were only 4 cars blocking them, but Lin, he didn't let his guard down. He parked the car below the hotel, preparing to send Shirhan up personally. He was the one who invited Shirhan, so Lin, he had the responsibility to protect her. Whether or not these people came for Shirhan, Lin, he had to protect her. If something happened, even Lin, he wouldn't be able to forgive himself. Right, how are you so strong? Shirhan was still in a state of fear, and now that she calmed down, she finally remembered. How was Lin so strong? Not only did he kill 2 of them silently, but the other 2 were killed by his accomplice, and the other one committed suicide? It's all right, Lin said faintly. When we get to the room, it's best not to mention these things. Don't worry. Your classmate is here. I won't say anything. Su Shirhan nodded. Lin wanted to tell Cheng-Yi not to talk about it, but after thinking about it, he didn't say anything. After all, she was Su Shirhan's junior apprentice sister. It was their own business. The 2 walked into the hotel lobby. Su Shirhan took out her phone and called Cheng-Yi. Senior sister, have you arrived? Cheng-Yi was surprised to hear Su Shirhan's voice. The radio just said there was a series of car accidents on the highway. Didn't you guys get stuck in traffic? We didn't. Su Shirhan hesitated but didn't say anything. After all, Zhang Duopan was Lin Yi's classmate. That's good. You scare me to death. I was still scared at the time. How good would it be if you took our car? Su Shirhan said. Haha, it's fine. Shirhan smiled. Which room are you in? I'll go up now. I'm in room 1108. You guys can take the elevator up. Cheng-Yi said. Lin Yi and Su Shirhan got in the elevator and went all the way to Cheng Yi's room. What surprised Lin Yi was that Zhang Duopan wasn't in room 1108. Instead, he got a room in room 1105. Obviously, Cheng Yi didn't want him in her room. If she wanted to talk, she would go to his room 1105. But Zhang Duopan was rich, so he didn't mind. You go in, I won't go. I'll wait for you outside. Lin Yi saw this and didn't follow. Okay. Su Shirhan also knew Cheng Yi's temper. Her room was usually only used by a few close sisters in the company and her manager. There was no one else. Lin Yi glanced at Zhang Duopan in the opposite room. The kid was on the phone. He didn't care about him. He turned and walked to the safe passage at the end of the corridor and called Feng Sanhuang. Hello, who are you looking for? Feng Sanhuang looked at the unfamiliar number and asked politely. Feng Sanhuang? Lin Yi asked. It's me, you are. Feng Sanhuang was secretly on guard. This person knew his name, but he still didn't know his identity. This person was definitely someone he wasn't familiar with, and it was impossible that Feng Sanhuang didn't have the phone number of someone he was familiar with, and it was impossible that he couldn't recognize his voice. Su Shirhan's bodyguard? Lin Yi continued to ask. Who are you? Feng Sanhuang was even more shocked. No one knew that he was Su Shirhan's bodyguard. Even Su Shirhan herself didn't know about it. So when Lin Yi revealed his identity, he panicked a little. It seems like my guess was right. Lin Yi said, I'm Lin Yi. Earlier at the airport, there was a Mystic-class late-phase peak who attacked us. I crippled him. I wanted to bring him back for interrogation, but he committed suicide. The way he did it was very disgusting. As he spoke, Lin Yi told Feng Sanhuang what happened. Feng Sanhuang was relieved when he heard that it was Lin Yi. Lin Yi saw through his strength and knew that he was Su Shirhan's bodyguard. But what shocked him was that there was someone who intercepted Su Shirhan. And in this period of time, Lin Yi seemed to have gotten even stronger. He could easily cripple a Mystic-class late-phase peak. The last time he saw him, he was weaker than him. He wasn't even at the peak of Mystic-class late-phase peak. But now, I didn't expect this. Brother Lin, thank you so much. Feng Sanhuang said gratefully. My flight tonight is to Donghai City. Please take care of Miss Su's safety. Please. When Feng Sanhuang knew that Su Shirhan was coming to East Ocean City on his own, he booked a plane ticket with her. However, he was still one flight behind Su Shirhan. Su Shirhan's flight was at noon, and he was going to take the night flight. He didn't expect that something would happen in such a short time. He was sent by Feng Tianlin to protect Su Shirhan. If Su, book Ocean Pavilion, soonest update EF equals, if something happened to Shirhan, even if Feng Sanhuang died, he wouldn't be able to escape the blame. So he called Lin Yi Brother Lin. Of course, this was also because of Lin Yi's increase in strength. To be able to cripple a Mystic-class late-phase peak meant that Lin Yi was at least at the peak of Mystic-class late-phase peak. You're coming too? That's great. You could go investigate these people's background. Lin Yi said, as for Su Shirhan's safety, you don't need to worry. With me by her side, nothing will happen. All right, thanks for the trouble. Feng Sanhuang said respectfully again. Target equals underscore blank. He raised his head and saw a fully armed girl next to Lin Yi. Su Shirhan. He paused for a moment, but immediately guessed what was going on. Hee. Hello, everyone. Shirhan smiled and waved at Bai Wei Tuo when she saw that someone recognized her. Hearing this heavenly voice, all the boys who were rehearsing stopped what they were doing. When they saw the person at the door, they couldn't help but widen their eyes. Someone cheered. Su Shirhan. Su Shirhan is here. Ah, Su Shirhan is here. It's really Su Shirhan. Su Shirhan, I love you so much, Lin Yi sweated. He quickly locked the classroom door. If the other students found out, they wouldn't need to rehearse anymore. They'd all come to see the celebrity. Everyone, quiet down. You guys are so loud. The student from the other classes would probably hear it. At that time, Feng Xiu at that time, I'm afraid we won't be able to rehearse anymore. Shirhan smiled and made a shushing gesture. Needless to say, the power of a celebrity was not just for show. Just one gesture, and the noisy classroom quieted down. Su Shirhan, Hello, I'm the class leader of the medical course by Wei-To. I'm also Brother Lin's follower. Bai Wei-To ran in front of Shirhan and introduced himself. Hello. Since you're the class leader, tell me, how's your rehearsal going? In order to save time, I'll see your progress first, and then decide on the next step. Okay? Shirhan heard that Bai Wei-To was Lin Yi's follower, so her attitude towards him was very gentle, which made Bai Wei-To feel very flattered. Shirhan didn't have the air of a celebrity at all. This surprised all the students. They didn't expect Lin Yi to be so powerful. Not only did he invite Shirhan, but she was also very polite and kind. Even Right Coiling Tiger was very jealous. He cursed in his heart. What kind of ability did this Lin Yi have to make Shirhan look at him in a different light? Okay, I'll tell you now. Bai Wei-To quickly nodded. Lin Yi didn't listen to Bai Wei-To's introduction anymore. He went back to his seat. The rehearsal had nothing to do with him anymore. Lin Yi didn't care. You don't follow celebrities? Lin Yi looked at Wang Xinyan in surprise. He realized that every time he saw her, she was always so quiet. Quiet like a pool of water, without any emotion. From the moment Lin Yi entered the classroom, Wang Xinyan had been flipping through the textbook in front of her. When Lin Yi sat down, she only raised her head and smiled at Lin Yi. Then, she continued reading. I like her songs. Most of the songs in my MP3 are her songs, but Idols Xinyan shook her head, a little regretful. I want to, but I don't have that much time to waste. I want to enjoy my university life as much as I can with the limited time I have. Limited time? Lin Yi was startled. He remembered the engagement between her and Zhao Long. He opened his mouth to say something, but closed it again. What identity should he use to make Wang Xinyan reject the engagement with House Kong? There are some things that you can't fight against. When you can't fight against it, you can only accept your fate. Wang Xinyan's expression seemed calm, but Lin Yi knew that not many people would be calm in this kind of situation. But Lin Yi didn't know what to say. He could only take it one step at a time. If he could destroy House Kong as soon as possible, Wang Xinyan would be able to relax a lot. What surprised Lin Yi was that Han Jingjing was also lying on the table, studying something. She was writing and drawing on the notebook in front of her. There were a lot of numbers and formulas. It made Lin Yi dizzy. To be continued. If you like this work, I welcome you to come to Starting Point and vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 1981. This girl can't be an alien, right? How can her thoughts be so weird? Lin Yi shook his head and didn't bother with her. Lin Yi was afraid that if he asked a random question, it would attract more questions. Wouldn't that be asking for trouble? Zhang Duopan was from the economics department. At this moment, his class was also busy rehearsing. But Zhang Duopan wasn't in a good mood. In comparison, his classmates were quite happy. Although they couldn't perform with a top star like Su Shirhan, Cheng Yi was still a rising star. Even if they couldn't get first place, getting second place was already quite an honor. Many classes wanted to get into the top 10, but couldn't. Because they didn't have a bet with Zhang Duopan, they were more relaxed. On the other hand, Zhang Duopan was depressed. He originally wanted to play a supporting role, but he didn't want it anymore. Going up was equivalent to embarrassing himself. It was better to be an inconspicuous cameo. Fan Ganha didn't participate in his class's program. He was Zhang Duopan's follower, so naturally, he would follow Zhang Duopan. Zhang bro, how about tonight, I find a gunny sack and put it on Bai Wei-To's head. We'll beat him until he can't take care of himself. That way, he won't go on stage, and the program won't be his anymore. Doesn't that mean we'll win? Fan Ganha suggested. What do you mean by can't take care of himself? Are you stupid? If he gets beaten up, the first suspects will be us. When the school investigates, we won't be able to escape punishment. We have to think before we do things. Zhang Duopan wasn't stupid. He directly rejected Fan Ganha's suggestion. Bai Wei-To is a freshman. He just came to the school. If there's a conflict, it's with us. Do you think everyone else is stupid? Fan Ganha really couldn't think of any other way to win the competition. Don't think about the competition. A loss is a loss. Zhang Duopan had already accepted it and didn't want to think about it anymore. An afternoon of rehearsal passed just like that. And at night, Cheng-yi asked Su Shirhan to go shopping. It was the first time for both of them to come to East Ocean City, and they hadn't shopped in East Ocean City yet. Su Shirhan didn't want to go. After all, something terrible had just happened. However, she didn't want to tell Cheng-yi, so she hesitated and decided to ask Lin-yi. When Lin-yi received Su Shirhan's call, he had just sent Han Jingjing and Han Xiaoqiao back and entered the villa with Miss and Shu. "Miss Su, what's the matter?" Lin-yi saw that it was Su Shirhan's call and picked it up. "How many times have I told you? Call me Xiao Han or Su Shirhan. Isn't calling me Miss Su too distant?" Su Shirhan didn't like the way Lin-yi addressed her. Okay, Xiao Han," Lin-yi said. "Cheng-yi wants to go shopping with me, but that thing happened on the highway. I'm a bit worried." Su Shirhan said, "I don't really want to go, but I don't want her to be a wet blanket." "Oh, then I'll go with you guys. Wait for 10 minutes. Feng San Huang will be here. He'll rent a business car and we'll go together," Lin-yi said. Feng brother is coming too?" Su Shirhan was startled. She didn't know why Lin-yi called Feng San Huang, but Lin-yi took Feng San Huang's phone number before, so it must be Lin-yi who called Feng San Huang. We'll go together later." Lin-yi couldn't reject Su Shirhan's request. After all, he was the one who invited Su Shirhan. Not only was he the host, but he also didn't spend a single cent of his appearance fee, so it was a bit unreasonable if he didn't act as a temporary bodyguard. "Okay, we'll wait for you at the hotel," Su Shirhan said. Go shopping? Go shopping? I want to go too." Yushu eavesdropped on Lin-yi's phone call. "Is it with Xiao Han, sis? Can we go?" The miss was also a bit tempted. "Forget it this time. Let's talk about it next time. I'll go with you guys alone." It was the first time Lin-yi rejected the miss and Shu's request. He briefly told them about what happened on the highway earlier in the afternoon. That's scary?" Meng Yao and Yushu's faces changed. "So, I'm afraid that there will be danger at night. If you guys go, I'm afraid that I won't be able to protect you." Lin-yi said, "These people are obviously coming for Su Shirhan. Then we won't go." "Lin-yi, be careful." Meng Yao naturally wouldn't pester him anymore. "Xiao Han sis is your guest. Don't let her get hurt." Ancient house Feng. A middle-aged woman with a gloomy face sat in front of Feng Tianhu. Although this woman was old, she was still attractive. There was an indescribable noble aura around her. Her identity was obviously not ordinary, but her face was very ugly at the moment. "Tianhu, Sanlei is dead. He is the most powerful master in my hands. The strength I have is limited. Your second brother is always on guard against me. I have no way to control the other masters, but the only master is actually dead," the middle-aged woman said bitterly. "This second sister-in-law, that little girl has a master in Donghai City. I really didn't expect this." Feng Tianhu smiled bitterly. "What do we do now? If your second brother comes after me, what should I do?" The middle-aged woman obviously didn't have much of an idea. She was the kind of person who was impulsive and reckless. This didn't match her noble appearance at all, and now San Huang has gone to Donghai City. In reality, she didn't have any ulterior motives. She was a rich young mistress. Marrying into House Feng was just a marriage alliance. Actually, you don't have to worry. Once Su Shirhan is dead, there will be no evidence. I think second brother won't pursue it anymore," Feng Tianhu said faintly. "Oh, so you already have a backup plan?" The middle-aged woman asked. "That's right. I've already sent Feng Erbying. Even if San Huang goes, it'll be a waste. It'll only take a few minutes to kill him," Feng Tianhu said indifferently. "Feng Erbying? Earth class mid-phase? You can use a second-generation disciple of House Feng?" The middle-aged woman widened her eyes in disbelief. Who doesn't have a trump card? Not only me, second brother probably has one too." Feng Tianhu sighed. "If it wasn't to help you this time, I wouldn't want to reveal my trump cards so early. You have to keep it a secret for me." Chapter 1982. That's not a problem. The middle-aged woman didn't even think about it. In her eyes, fighting in the family wasn't important. Killing Feng Tianlin's mistress and little bastard was the most important thing. One had to say that Feng Tianlin's failure was marrying such a brainless and unruly woman. Although he had the support of her family, she didn't help him wholeheartedly and kept creating trouble for him. For someone like Feng Tianlin, who was the heir of an ancient house, who didn't have multiple wives and concubines. But his first love's flesh and blood had to be sneaky, and he couldn't even see her. This made Feng Tianlin very frustrated. He was a little envious of his big brother's choice back then. He didn't care about anything and just ran away from the marriage and married a woman from the common world, cutting off all ties with the ancient house Feng. He, on the other hand, didn't want to disappoint his father, and for his big brother's safety, he married this woman who was supposed to be his big brother's fiancée. What Feng Tianlin didn't expect was that this woman was really unruly, willful, and jealous. He didn't know where she got the news that he had a mistress and a daughter outside, but she actually brought people to kill him. His wife was nowhere to be found, and his daughter was only found many years later after much effort. Feng Tianlin hated his wife to the core. Although she was his wife, he didn't have any feelings for her. He still loved his first love, Su Shihan's mother. Feng Tianlin knew that his wife had gone to kill him, but he didn't do anything. Instead, he chose to endure it, because he knew that this was most likely caused by his third brother, Feng Tianhu. Feng Tianhu had always coveted the position of the young master. Otherwise, it would be impossible for such detailed information to be known by only a few close brothers. However, as Feng Tianhu's son, Feng Nitian, gradually revealed his talent, the old man placed more and more importance on Feng Tianhu. Feng Tianhu's power in House Feng was also growing, and this made Feng Tianlin even more cautious. He could only continue to endure until the day he truly controlled House Feng. At that time, he wouldn't be afraid of anyone anymore. Considering the many years of marriage in the face of their son, Feng Tianlin wouldn't do anything to his wife, but he definitely wouldn't force a smile to serve her every day like now. The first thing Feng Tianlin had to do after he became the head of the family was to bring his daughter back and announce to the public that she was his daughter. Moreover, he would find his older brother and bring him back to the Feng family. Although his older brother had been kicked out of the family by his father, a new ruler brought his own ministers. His father was the head of the family, and now he, Feng Tianlin, was the head of the family. Feng Tianlin's relationship with his older brother was the best. Although they didn't share the same mother, they were closer than real brothers. This was also one of the important reasons why Feng Tianlin married his current wife in place of his older brother. If he didn't marry her, his father would blame his eldest brother even more and might even kill him. And this was what Feng Tianhu hoped for. He hoped that this marriage would be broken, and that his father would kill his older brother while his second brother would plead for mercy. This way, both of them would lose trust, and both of them would be finished. His third brother would naturally take over. So, for his older brother, in order to prevent his third brother's plan from succeeding, Feng Tianlin gritted his teeth and persevered for so many years. However, Feng Tianhu, because of his son, Feng Nitian, seemed to be on the same level as him. This made Feng Tianlin's life more and more difficult. But not long ago, Feng Tianlin received great news. Feng Tianhu's son, Feng Tianhu, was acting tough during the Ice Palace's test. He used his title of strongest below Earth class and was beaten into a cripple by an even stronger strongest below Earth class. Feng Tianlin knew that his chance had come again. Although to House Feng, Feng Nitian's death wasn't a good thing, to Feng Tianlin, it was a good thing. However, Feng Tianlin didn't know that his wife was working with Feng Tianhu to deal with Su Shihan. So, when Feng Tianlin received Feng Sanhuang's call, he was shocked. What did you say? Someone was on the airport highway, trying to deal with Shihan? Feng Tianlin panicked. Yes, master, but Miss Su's friend took care of it. It's a mystic late-phase peak master. Sanhuang told Feng Tianlin everything that had happened. What? Mystic late-phase peak? Feng Tianlin was even more shocked. This was the first time that Su Shihan was attacked by such a powerful cultivator. Although there were kidnappings and robberies in the past, those were only done by some small gangs. This time, it was obviously not that simple. Plus, these men in black chose to commit suicide in such a cruel way after they failed. They obviously didn't want to expose their identity. Who sent them? Could it be his wife? Or his third brother? Thinking of this, Feng Tianlin's heart skipped a beat. Su Shihan's identity was a secret. Although he found Su Shihan, he never acknowledged her. How did his wife and brother know about it? Do you know who did it? Feng Tianlin asked. I'm not sure yet. I just arrived at Donghai City. I heard that the bodies were taken away by the Supernatural Investigation Bureau. I need to find someone I know. I don't know if they can see it. Feng Sanwang said. Although the ancient noble houses had absolute power, the Supernatural Investigation Bureau might not give them face. It was a complicated organization. If there's no other way, forget it. Feng Tianlin wanted to say something, but shook his head. In this situation, he couldn't contact that person before he had a firm foothold. If he did, it would be against the family rules. Feng Tianhu would be looking for trouble. Okay, master, I'll try my best, Feng Sanwang said. When Lin Yi arrived at the hotel, Feng Sanwang was there as well. He was driving a Buick GL8. Seeing Lin Yi, Feng Sanwang jumped out. Brother Lin, thank you for today. Feng Sanwang actually bowed to Lin Yi this time. Lin Yi paused. He felt that Sanwang's words had exceeded a normal bodyguard's. Even if he was Su Shihan's bodyguard, he didn't need to go through all these formalities. Mr. Feng, Lil Han came to my place, and it's my duty to protect her. There's no need to thank me, but I see that you seem to care a lot about Su Shihan. You like her? Chapter 1983. Book Ocean Pavilion Chapter 1995. Being followed. Ahem. Sanwang's heart skipped a beat when he heard the first half of the sentence, but the second half made him choke. I was actually asked by someone to protect Miss Su, but it's a secret kind of protection that Miss Su doesn't know about. In Miss Su's eyes, I'm just a normal chauffeur and bodyguard, not a practitioner, so please keep it a secret, Brother Lin. Sanwang's heart skipped a beat when he heard the second half. Oh, I get it. You're the celebrity's bodyguard. Lin Yi wasn't surprised at all after hearing Sanwang's words, because he was the school beauty's bodyguard. It was just that the nature of his job was different from Sanwang's. Lin Yi was in the light, and Sanwang was in the dark. You can say that. Sanwang saw that Lin Yi wasn't surprised at all, and felt that Lin Yi wasn't a normal person. Brother Lin, if I may be so bold, your current strength, Earth class. Lin Yi didn't hide it, but he didn't say whether it was early, mid, or late stage Earth class. After all, Sanwang and Lin Yi weren't that close, and Lin Yi didn't want to say too much. Hiss! Sanwang took a deep breath. The last time he saw Lin Yi, he was still a peak mid-mystic class, and now he was an Earth class. Thinking back to what Lin Yi had said to him, don't think that just because you're a peak late mystic class, you can talk big in front of me. Could it be that Lin Yi was an Earth class back then, but he suppressed his strength to peak mid-mystic class and non-Earth class? If that was the case, then why did he shamelessly threaten Lin Yi? Feng Sanwang blushed just thinking about it. No wonder Lin Yi wasn't afraid at all and directly threatened him back then. It turned out that he was suppressing his strength, of course. Feng Sanwang didn't think that Lin Yi could jump from mystic mid-phase peak to Earth class in just a few months. That speed of leveling up was like riding a rocket. It would be amazing if he could break through a small class in just a few months. Brother Lin, I've offended you before. Miss Su's safety will be in your hands later. Feng Sanwang's attitude towards Lin Yi was even more respectful. Lin Yi waved his hand and didn't say anything else. Instead, he pointed in the direction of the hotel and said, "They're out. Let's not talk about this anymore." All right. Lin Yi's words were exactly what Feng Sanwang wanted. Feng Sanwang didn't want to discuss this in front of Su Shihan. Xiaohan. Lin Yi greeted Su Shihan. As for Cheng Yi, Lin Yi only nodded to her. But Cheng Yi didn't seem to mind. She didn't seem to like talking to Lin Yi. She pulled Su Shihan and got in the MPV. Lin Yi sat in the front passenger seat, and Feng Sanwang naturally became the driver. Although Feng Sanwang wasn't familiar with the terrain of Donghai City, he was Su Shihan's professional driver. He was very good at finding the way. He only needed to look at the GPS to know how to get there. He started the car and went straight to the busiest commercial street in Donghai City. On the way, Su Shihan and Chung-yi were discussing something. But Lin Yi wasn't interested in listening. It was mostly about how to make up, how to be beautiful, and how to have a good body. After a few turns, Feng San Wang arrived at the commercial street and parked the car in the parking lot nearby. I didn't expect Donghai City's commercial street to be so busy this late. Su Shirhan looked at the street outside the car window and said in surprise, Donghai City is a provincial city. Naturally, there are a lot of shops that are open 24 hours. Lin Yi said, Thank you, Lin Yi. It's so late, but you came out to shop with us. Sorry for disturbing your rest. Su Shirhan said gratefully. Chung Yi frowned. It was a great honor for a normal person to be able to come out with a big star. Zhang Duopan wanted to come along, but she rejected him. Why was Su Shirhan begging Lin Yi? It's okay. Lin Yi and Feng Sanhuang walked behind Su Shirhan and Chung Yi as if they were their bodyguards. Su Shirhan probably didn't have many opportunities to go shopping. Everything she saw was new. Lin Yi couldn't help but sigh. Although celebrities seemed to be famous, they didn't have much time. Every day, they just had to work and work. Chung Yi, on the other hand, had a lot of knowledge about brands and shops. She was the one who brought Su Shirhan to shop. Feng Sanhuang, on the other hand, was very nervous. He was always on guard. His eyes kept looking around as if he was afraid of missing something. Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry at his seriousness. I say, Sanhuang, you don't have to be like this, right? Relax a bit. Otherwise, I'm afraid that Xiaoan will be fine, but you'll be so nervous. Brother Lin, I have to kill the danger in the cradle. Feng Sanhuang smiled bitterly. I'm different from you. I have to ensure Miss Su's safety, especially after what happened today. It's okay. I'll watch for you. I'll tell you if there's any danger. Lin Yi said. Although Lin Yi said that, Feng Sanhuang saw that Lin Yi didn't seem to be on guard at all times. So, he didn't relax at all. From his point of view, Lin Yi was an outsider. No matter what, he wouldn't be very careful. Feng Sanhuang, was different. Lin Yi looked at Feng Sanhuang and shrugged. He didn't say anything. Along the way, the four of them went to most of the shops on the street. Shirhan seemed to be especially addicted to shopping, including the shops that sold mobile cases, small accessories. She would go to all of them, even buying one or two small things before leaving reluctantly. This situation made Lin Yi sigh. Miss Su's work is actually very busy. Book Ocean Pavilion. She's a very hard-working person. She hasn't followed any unspoken rules. Her current results are all from her own efforts. Su Shirhan forced a smile. It's fine, don't worry about me, but... Chung Yi looked at Su Shirhan's frowning face, still a little worried. However, as the two were arguing, Lin Yi sneered. Since you're here, then come out. What's the point of hiding? Is this the behavior of an Earth-class mid-phase master? What? There's an enemy? Feng Sanhuang heard Lin Yi's words and jumped. Su Shirhan and Chung Yi were shocked as well. Two men in black came out from the darkness in front of the alleyway, but their faces were still covered with black masks, so people couldn't see their faces clearly. You're not simple. You can actually sense my presence, and you can even say my strength. Friend, which path are you on? I advise you not to get involved in this mess. It's none of your business here. One of the men in black was obviously afraid of Lin Yi, which was why he said these words. Of course, he was planning to ambush Lin Yi, but Lin Yi was able to see through his whereabouts. He was quite angry at Lin Yi, but he had other important things to do today, and he couldn't see through Lin Yi's strength, so he didn't want to cause more trouble. Moreover, he naturally wouldn't think that Lin Yi was tricking him to come out. After all, if Lin Yi could say his strength, it meant that he had already been discovered. In actuality, Lin Yi really didn't find any traces of this Earth-class, mid-phase black-clothed man. It was through the jade that he found the movements of the other black-clothed man, a mystic late-phase peak master. Through this person, Lin Yi caught a faint trace of energy beside him, and that was how he found the black-clothed man. Why would I stand here if it's none of my business? Lin Yi looked at the man in black like he was looking at an idiot. If it's none of my business, why would I find your traces and say your strength? Do you think I have nothing better to do? You go deal with Su Shirhan. I'll take care of this. The Earth-class man's face turned cold, and he ordered the mystic next to him. Yes. The black-clothed man nodded and flew toward Shirhan, throwing a punch at her. Obviously, he wanted to kill Shirhan with one punch. Lin Yi had been observing the reactions of these two, and when he saw the movements of the black-clothed man, he sneered, and his side also started to move. He used a bit of force in his legs and flew towards the mystic next to Su Shirhan. In order to confuse the mystic in front of him, Lin Yi had been suppressing his strength, making it seem like he was only a mystic-class mid-phase peak. The purpose of this was to kill the mystic-class late-phase peak in one hit, and then he could focus on dealing with the Earth-class mid-phase master. Lin Yi didn't have the slightest confidence in winning against someone 2 levels higher than him, and he was a bit nervous, so he had to kill all the uncertain factors in the cradle. You're not mystic mid-phase peak. You're Earth early phase. This was the last thing the man in black said as he slid down the wall. Then he spat out a mouthful of blood, his vision went black, and he died. Despicable! How dare you trick me? The man in black's eyes were filled with anger. He wanted to burn Lin Yi to death. He didn't think that Lin Yi would use a method to hide his strength and kill one of his people first. Trick me? Lin Yi patted the dust off his hands and curled his lips. He's just too arrogant. Can't you see that? You. The man in black was speechless. He couldn't refute Lin Yi. Indeed, if Lin Yi were to trick him, it was because the man in black was too arrogant. If he had been more careful, he wouldn't have ended up like this. With that thought, the man in black took a deep breath and looked at Lin Yi with hatred. He pointed at Lin Yi and said, I don't care who you are. If you want to get involved in this mess, then don't leave. You and your family will pay the price of blood for your meddling. What did you say? Lin Yi frowned. A hint of hatred flashed across his eyes. This person dared to use his family to threaten him. This made Lin Yi's heart surge with rage. No matter what, he had to make this person stay here. Not for anything else, but for Ming Yao, Yushu, and all his friends. Haha. When you're dead, I'll investigate your identity. I'll visit your friends and family one by one. The man in black smiled sinisterly. This is the consequence of killing my people. If that's the case, then it's either you die or I die. I won't rest until I die. Lin Yi looked at the man in black coldly, but his heart was filled with caution. This man was too evil. If Lin Yi didn't make him stay here, then what awaited him would be unbearable revenge. I won't rest until I die. You think you're worthy? The man in black said as his chi surged out of his body. His Earth-class mid-phase strength was on full display. We don't know who's going to die yet. It's too early for you to say that. Lin Yi took a deep breath and started channeling his practitioner's arts, showing off his Earth-class early phase strength. But early phase was still early phase. It wasn't the peak. Compared to the man in black, there was still a difference of 2 levels. The Earth-class black-clothed man looked at Lin Yi and Feng San Wang, deep in thought. Try Wang, take Xiaohan and the others and hide behind. Lin Yi could guess what the man in black was thinking. He moved his feet slightly and quietly stood in front of the man's attack. Just now, Lin Yi had ambushed one of the mystic black-clothed men, and he must have incurred the wrath of this Earth-class black-clothed man. So, he probably had the idea of getting rid of Feng San Wang first. This way, Su Shirhan would have no one to protect her, and he could take advantage of the chaos to get rid of Su Shirhan. After that, the mission would be completed. Otherwise, she wouldn't have agreed to come to the freshman party because of Boss Zhang's request. And Shirhan nodded. She also felt that it wasn't a good time to run away by herself. After dodging the fierce attack, Lin Yi let out a sigh of relief. A serious look appeared on his face. The opponent's martial technique had reached a state where he could control it freely. Although Lin Yi could do the same, Lin Yi's martial technique was a fire element. Water and fire countered each other. It was hard to tell who would be the winner. If the opponent was a practitioner of other martial techniques, Lin Yi's chances of winning would be higher. But it just so happened that the opponent could counter his martial technique. This made Lin Yi a little depressed. This was the first time he faced such a high-level opponent, and it was an opponent that countered his martial technique. You have some skills? But this is only the first form. The Earth-class black-clothed man sneered. An icy mist condensed on his left fist again. This time, it looked even fiercer and more majestic than before. Just like what he said, what he used before was only the first form of his martial technique. There should be more to come, and now that he was an Earth-class mid-stage master, he should be able to use at least 3 forms of martial technique. He might even be able to use the 4th form. Lin Yi took a deep breath. He didn't dare to be careless. He could see that this was the 2nd form of the Earth-class black-clothed man's move. Because of the bone-chilling cold, Lin Yi was still fine. But Shirhan and the others behind Lin Yi felt like they had fallen into an ice cellar. They couldn't help but shiver. So Lin Yi didn't even think about it. He directly used the 2nd form of Frenzy Fist. In an instant, Lin Yi's fist was also wrapped in a ball of red flame. The high temperature made the cold autumn day feel warm. Shirhan and the others behind Lin Yi felt like they were standing next to a bonfire. Fire element martial technique? If I'm not wrong, this shouldn't be the 1st form. Could it be the 3rd form? The Earth-class black-clothed man looked at Lin Yi in surprise. He didn't expect Lin Yi to be a fire element martial technique practitioner. Book Ocean Pavilion is a practitioner, and he's able to unleash the 3rd form of his martial art at the early phase of Earth class. According to the normal training progress, one would normally be able to use the 3rd form when they were about to break through to the mid-stage of Earth class. So far, he had only mastered 4 forms. That was because he was an Earth-class mid-stage master and had been famous for a long time. That was why he could use the 4th form. Even so, he was still considered a genius among his peers. But Lin Yi, could it be that this guy was pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger? Could it be that the early stage of Earth class wasn't his real strength? Chapter 1987. Book C Pavilion. Lin Yi's body landed heavily on the ground, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. It looked like Lin Yi was badly injured, but in reality, Lin Yi didn't suffer any serious injuries. He just borrowed the strength of the man's skill to fly out and didn't take it head-on. The Earth-class black-clothed man, on the other hand, didn't seem to have taken a few steps back, but he wasn't much better off than Lin Yi. His internal organs were shaken up as well. He hurriedly circulated his mental cultivation method without batting an eyelid, and only then did he quickly calm down. At this moment, Lin Yi also saw that although the Frenzy Fist was strong, and each style was a level higher than the other skills of the same level, if he used the 2nd style to fight against the 3rd style of the opponent, he would still be at a disadvantage. Especially when he was weaker than the opponent, and his chi wasn't as strong as the opponent. Even if he used the same level skills, it would still be affected. Lin Yi quickly channeled the art of dragon mastery to heal his injuries while the man didn't move. He could also see that the opponent was also healing, but Lin Yi didn't choose to continue attacking at this time. If the two were to fight head-on, then the one at a disadvantage would still be Lin Yi because Lin Yi's strength wasn't as strong as the opponent. So this kind of fighting style gave Lin Yi an advantage. The art of dragon mastery could heal injuries infinitely, but the opponent was only calming his injuries and couldn't recover in a short period of time. This time, Su Shirhan didn't dare to disturb Lin Yi, so she covered her mouth with her hand, but she was worried for Lin Yi again. After Lin Yi healed his injuries, he didn't give the opponent a chance to rest anymore. He used the 3rd style of the Frenzy Fist and rushed towards the man like lightning. The place where his fist passed through formed a long fire dragon, and the air resistance formed a long howl, die. The man didn't think that Lin Yi would dare to fight head-on, and he couldn't believe it, because through the head-on collision, he had already figured out Lin Yi's strength. Although Lin Yi's skills were overbearing, and he didn't know how he practiced it to the third style, his internal strength was definitely only at the early stage of the Earth class. Although he was stronger than the normal early stage of the Earth class, he should be breaking through soon, but he definitely wasn't at the peak of the early stage of the Earth class. From the result of the collision, it could be seen that Lin Yi's strength was obviously weaker than the Earth class Black-Clothed Man, because the Black-Clothed Man didn't even take a few steps back, but Lin Yi, on the other hand, was sent flying. This was a completely different level of strength, and to fight head-on in this situation wasn't the same as looking for death. Although he wouldn't die in one hit, a few more hits would probably kill him, so the man was very confused. What was this Lin Yi thinking? In fact, it wasn't that Lin Yi was looking for death, but because Lin Yi had no other way. The only thing Lin Yi could rely on was his advantage of being able to heal quickly. If he could use his martial skills to continuously clash with the man and have enough time for Lin Yi to recover, then Lin Yi was confident that he could make the man stay. But whether or not it would be like Lin Yi wanted was unclear. The fourth style? How is that possible? How could it be the fourth style? The man wanted to use the third style again to fight against Lin Yi, but found that Lin Yi actually used the fourth style. It should be known that the consumption of true qi for each style increased exponentially. Under normal circumstances, under the circumstances that the level wasn't very high, using the most powerful style would consume a lot of true qi in the body. For example, if the man was a mid-earth class master, he could only use the fourth style 10 times or so before he would be exhausted. As for an early earth class master like Lin Yi, it would be good if he could use the second style 10 times, let alone the third or fourth style. Therefore, with regards to Lin Yi's fourth style, the man was very surprised. He didn't know what Lin Yi was going to do, but one thing was for sure, Lin Yi wanted to fight head-on. The Earth-class Black-Clothed Man felt a wave of depression. He also changed the third style to the fourth style and used it against Lin Yi. He actually didn't want to waste time on Lin Yi. His target was Su Shirhan. The words he said before were to threaten Lin Yi and make Lin Yi say some soft words and leave, but he didn't expect it to have the opposite effect. This guy didn't care about his life at all. Pong. Lin Yi looked at the ice mist on the man's left hand that suddenly became even sharper. Lin Yi's heart slightly shivered, but he still clenched his teeth and faced it head-on. Facing an Earth-class master who was a higher level than him, Lin Yi didn't have the slightest confidence in winning. If it was just one level higher, Lin Yi could see that he could use Frenzy Fist to defeat him. If the Earth-class Black-Clothed Man didn't practice his fourth form, then Lin Yi could totally use the third form, Frenzy Fist, to defeat him, because the third form, Frenzy Fist, was infinitely close to other people's fourth form. But this Earth-class Black-Clothed Man was 2 levels higher than Lin Yi, and he practiced the fourth form, Cold Snow Pierce. Lin Yi could barely fight him to a draw, and it was very difficult. When he was in the Mystic class, the feeling of killing his opponent in a second was almost non-existent. This made Lin Yi very unhappy and depressed. The feeling of going from the strongest under Earth class to the weakest under Heaven class made Lin Yi want to vomit blood. Chapter 1988. Book C Pavilion. Chapter 2000. The gap was huge, but as soon as Lin Yi landed, he didn't waste any time and quickly entered the Jade Space to heal and replenish his energy. As for the man in black, he didn't dare to attack Lin Yi. He had to adjust his breathing first. He was afraid that Lin Yi would counterattack him if he tried to attack Lin Yi. So since Lin Yi was adjusting his breathing, he also took the opportunity to adjust his breathing. At this time, both sides had a tacit understanding to not attack each other. This was because the qi in their bodies wasn't flowing smoothly. They also knew that if they attacked each other now, they would both die. So no one did anything stupid. After a few moments of adjustment, The man in black let out a long breath and sneered at Lin. What? Brat, you just barely managed to activate the fourth move of the martial skill. Are you unable to stand up? You've lost a lot of chi and become a soft-footed shrimp? Haha, then I won't be polite. You can go die now. Lin, he didn't want to waste any time. Even if he could heal and replenish his chi in the jade space, it wouldn't make up for the loss of his chi. His internal injuries could only be healed by half. So Lin, he waited for the man in black to finish his sarcastic words before reluctantly returning to reality. He stood up lazily and looked at the man in black. Oh, I've actually recovered a long time ago. I just sat on the ground for a while. I thought you wouldn't make it this time. So you're not dead yet? Then let's go again. As Lin said this, he continued to use the third move, Frenzy Fist. The man in black had just finished adjusting his breathing and hadn't thought about what to do next when he saw Lin using the fourth move again. He almost died. He thought to himself, you don't want to live anymore? You've suffered such serious internal injuries in the previous head-on clash, and you still want to fight head-on? Can't you just exchange a few moves before using the martial skill? Even if you don't mind the lack of Jinchi. I do. However, thinking about it was just thinking about it. Lin Yi's fist had already arrived. The Earth Stage black-clothed man could only grit his teeth and receive it. Otherwise, he would probably be crippled by Lin Yi. Even Mystic mid-phase peak master wouldn't dare stand there and let the opponent hit him. That would definitely cripple him. Bang! Another violent collision resounded, and the two men's bodies were once again blasted apart by the huge amount of true chi. Lin Yi was once again sent flying, and this time, the Earth-ranked man in black was in a much worse state than the previous two times. His internal injuries had not yet recovered, so when he collided head-on with Lin Yi, he didn't just take a few steps back. Instead, he took a few steps back, all the way to the corner of the wall behind him. Only then did he manage to hold onto the wall and stabilize himself. But this time, he spat out 2 mouthfuls of black blood. Naturally, Lin Yi wasn't much better. It was also more serious than the last time. He was still sent flying, landed on the ground, and spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. Then, he quickly entered the jade space to heal and replenish his strength. However, the physical strength and injuries consumed every time he used the martial skill couldn't be replenished in a short period of time. So, Lin Yi could only replenish a small portion each time. Every time, he would waste a large portion. This reminded Lin Yi of the battle with Right 13. That time, Lin Yi used this kind of tenacious willpower to compete with Right 13. But at that time, Right 13's martial skill was obviously not on the same level as this Earth-ranked man in black. In fact, it could be said that the difference was like heaven and earth. Now, Lin Yi could roughly guess that this person in front of him wasn't from an ancient sect. Book C Pavilion, this sect, was an ancient family. Otherwise, it would be impossible to have such a powerful martial skill. And it was also impossible for him to master the fourth martial skill at the mid-phase of the Earth-ranked. All signs indicated that if this person wasn't a genius, then he came from a wealthy family. Even hidden families would be left in the dust. Kid, you can't do it this time, can you? This time, the Earth-ranked man in black didn't get up so quickly to mock Lin Yi. Instead, he adjusted his breathing for a long time. Seeing that Lin Yi was still sitting on the ground, he mocked him. After a while, Lin Yi stretched and said lightly, I was about to fall asleep, and you only finished adjusting your breathing. You're really slow. I thought you were dead. Bullsh asterisk T. The Earth-ranked man in black said angrily, You have more bullsh asterisk T than me. Stop pretending. You want to scare me away by pretending to be calm? That's just wishful thinking. Do you think I don't know that you're talking nonsense? If you had nothing better to do, why didn't you sneak attack me? Why are you still on the ground? Sneak attacks are so shameless. Lin Yi smiled faintly. You hid your strength just now to kill one of my people. Isn't that shameless? The Earth-ranked man in black was already infuriated by Lin Yi. This little bastard only knew how to fight head-on. Fight head-on. Yes, he must have done it on purpose, pretending to be fine to scare me away. How could I let him succeed? In fact, what the Earth-ranked man in black thought was not wrong. Lin Yi's injuries were indeed heavier than his. This could be seen from the distance Lin Yi flew. But Lin Yi had the jade pendant, so he didn't know. Hiding and sneak attacks are different. Lin Yi said, "Come on, let's continue. See how open I am. Who will sneak attack who?" The Earth rank man in black was angry. He was a dignified Middle Earth rank master, but he was being bullied by Lin Yi. If this went on, even if he didn't die within a few moves, his stamina would be depleted endlessly. Book Ocean Pavilion, even if he went, he would still die. Therefore, the reason why the man in black said this was to test Lin Yi. He wanted to see if his estimation was correct. If Lin Yi was really an Earth-ranked early-phase master, then no matter how strong he was, he would still be dead after 2 more collisions. I said that we won't stop until one of us dies. Let's continue. Lin Yi stood up and smiled at the man in black. Now that things had reached this point, Lin Yi couldn't let the man in black go. Let's not talk about whether or not he would keep his word, and whether or not he would let his family go. Just from the current situation, Lin Yi couldn't leave Su Shirhan alone. Moreover, the Earth-ranked man in black had to die. He already knew of Chu Yang's background and strength. Once he returned and spread the news to his enemies, his true strength would be exposed. Would the family that had 3 Earth-ranked experts killed by Chu Yang take it lying down? So no matter what, he couldn't compromise. The man in black heard Lin Yi's words and really wanted to say, "Are you a cockroach? Why are you still here? You're an Earth-ranked early-phase master. Why aren't you dead yet? Are you really an Earth-ranked early-phase master?" But although the man in black was suspicious, he was sure that Lin Yi was definitely an Earth-ranked early-phase master. Otherwise, if Lin Yi was still hiding his strength in this situation, then there was something wrong with his brain. Su Shirhan covered her mouth. Crystal-clear tears silently flowed down her beautiful face. Lin Yi didn't need to care about her at all. If Lin Yi had the strength to easily kill the man, then there was no doubt that he would make a move. But now, Lin Yi clearly wasn't the opponent's match, and he was fighting with his life on the line. He was sent flying again and again, but every time he stood up, he'd smile and say, "Let's do it again." Su Shirhan was very touched and wanted to cry. She lost her parents' love when she was young, and this was the first time she felt that someone would treat her so well. She wanted to say, don't care about me, leave, but she didn't dare to make a sound and distract Lin Yi. Although Su Shirhan wasn't a practitioner, she could see that these two were really clashing with strength. One moment of distraction or carelessness, and she would die a horrible death. All this time, Su Shirhan and Lin Yi had the mentality of repaying a debt of gratitude. Lin Yi cured her headache, and she was very grateful to Lin Yi, but it was just gratitude. Their relationship could only be considered as a slightly better friend. Of course, there was also the relationship between Xiao Xiao, Tang Yin, Meng Yao, and Yu Shu. She just had a good relationship with Lin Yi. And now, Lin Yi's behavior had exceeded that of a normal friend. How could Su Shirhan not be touched? He didn't dare to adjust his breathing, and hurriedly used his own third style to meet the attack. Boom! Another one. Book C Pavilion, a loud sound rang out as the two retreated once again. But this time, the Earth rank man retreated even more than before, and he spat out even more blood than before. The Earth rank black-clothed man was somewhat puzzled. Lin Yi's third style seemed to be very powerful. Did he use the fourth style? However, he shook his head. This shouldn't be the fourth style, because the power of the fourth style was greater than this. But why did Lin Yi's third style seem to be stronger than his third style? In fact, Lin Yi was only using the second style. Even if it was infinitely close to the Earth rank black-clothed man's third style, it was still inferior to the third style. The reason why the Earth rank black-clothed man felt that it was very strong was because this style was directly derived from the first style, so it was stronger than the normal second style, resulting in such a result. However, before the Earth-rank black-clothed man could think any further, Lin Yi's fourth style came attacking. The Earth-rank black-clothed man was speechless. Do you want to die if you don't rest? However, Lin Yi's fist had already arrived, and he couldn't sit down to adjust his breathing, but he also didn't want to meet force with force again. Because he discovered that Lin Yi's fourth style was stronger than before, it was about 20% stronger. What was going on? Not only did Lin Yi not calm down to adjust his breathing, but he also continuously attacked, but stronger? Could it be that some people could start practicing from the second style, and the effect of each style was stronger than the previous one? Never heard of it. The Earth-rank black-clothed man's blood was really boiling. In his opinion, if he took this move from Lin Yi, he would definitely be very miserable. This was different from before, where he had the time to adjust his breathing, but now he didn't, and this move from Lin Yi was even stronger. Thinking of this, the Earth-rank black-clothed man's eyes turned, and he pretended to punch at Lin Yi, but in fact he used both his feet to forcefully step on the ground, and his whole body borrowed the force to fly out, directly flying under the wall, not far away. This kind of dodging method was very shameful, especially for an Earth-class mid-stage master to not dare to take on an Earth-class early-stage master's martial technique. But at this moment, the Earth-class black-clothed man didn't care about this shameful thing anymore. He even had some regrets. From the beginning, he shouldn't have clashed with Lin Yi so many times. He should have dodged a few times and used up some of Lin Yi's strength. Of course, this kind of phenomenon could only be felt by people, and Su Shirhan and Cheng-Yi only felt that there seemed to be some kind of strange airflow nearby, but they didn't feel anything strange. Is he about to break through? Feng Sanhuang didn't think that Lin Yi would be able to kill an Earth-class mid-stage master with the power of an Earth-class early stage. And not only that, but from the looks of it, he had broken through the limit of his body's potential and was about to level up. Thinking up to here, Feng Sanhuang quickly said to Su Shirhan and Cheng-Yi, "Don't move, stand behind me. Brother Lin is about to break through. I want to do it for him." Okay. Although Su Shirhan didn't understand what Feng Sanhuang was talking about, she could clearly see the current situation. Lin Yi's enemy was defeated. There was a big hole in his body, and he couldn't be more dead. It was obvious that Lin Yi was no longer in danger, and this made Su Shirhan sigh in relief. At the same time, she admired Lin Yi even more, and even worshipped him. From the words of the black-clothed man, it could be seen that between the two of them, Lin Yi was at a disadvantage. But even at a disadvantage, Lin Yi was still able to climb back up again, and finally turned defeat into victory, creating a miracle. Cheng-Yi's eyes, on the other hand, were filled with terror as she looked at Lin Yi and the dead man at the corner of the wall. Speechless, Book Ocean Pavilion. Chapter 1992. Book C Pavilion. Chapter 2004 Earth Class Early Phase Peak. After Lin Yi entered the space of the Jade, he began to absorb the energy of heaven and earth in a frenzy. His body was like a big sponge, the endless energy pouring into his body. Compared to the slow absorption before, this was a completely different speed. As for Lin Yi, this was also the first time he used the second stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery to break through. He felt that his absorption speed was much faster than the first stage. In the same amount of time, he could absorb more energy into his body. At this moment, the sudden influx of pure energy was a little too much for Lin Yi to bear. Lin Yi took a deep breath and gritted his teeth. He didn't switch to the first stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery, but continued to work on the second stage of the art. He had a feeling that the first stage wouldn't be able to break through this shackle, and the second stage was the right choice. Lin Yi closed his eyes and carefully controlled the pure energy that was pouring into his body, guiding it to flow and circle in his meridians. After the pure energy flowed into his meridians, it seemed to have a life of its own. Under the control of the second stage of the art of dragon mastery, it flowed back and forth in his meridians. This feeling made Lin Yi feel very comfortable. The pure energy that flowed through his meridians seemed to twist together with the original pure energy in his body, forming a unified flow. This was completely different from when he broke through to Earth class. The first stage of the art of dragon mastery didn't allow him to drive the pure energy that flowed into his body. It only allowed him to absorb the pure energy into his body. But the advantage now was that the pure energy that was absorbed into his body was fusing with the original pure energy, and the original pure energy became majestic and boundless. It seemed to have more vitality than before, which made it easier for Lin Yi to break through the bottleneck of the early phase peak of Earth class. However, breaking through to Earth class was evidently more difficult. As more and more pure qi entered his body, Lin Yi felt as if his entire body was on the verge of exploding. It was a torturous feeling, and there were a few times when he wanted to give up, but he gritted his teeth and persevered, because Lin Yi understood that it was like rowing a boat against the current. If he didn't advance, he would fall back. If he gave up this time, then it would be a little more difficult to break through the second time. After all, this kind of limit breakthrough in battle was something that could only be found by chance. If he gave up, then who knew when he would have to wait for the next time? So, Lin Yi had to persevere no matter what. Suddenly, Lin Yi felt the meridians in his chest suddenly shook violently. His body also shook violently, and with a pu sound, he spat out another mouthful of black blood. This situation made Feng Sanhuang jump, and Su Shihan and Cheng Yi, who were not far away, were also shocked. They didn't know what happened to Lin Yi, but they didn't dare to go up and disturb him. Lin Yi didn't really feel much, but rather it was because of the rapid circulation of the pure qi that forced the clotted blood out of his body, and his body's injuries were slowly recovering under the circulation of the pure qi. The second stage of the art of dragon mastery seemed to be able to heal injuries during breakthroughs, and while it was a little painful, it was indeed magical. After spitting out a mouthful of blood, Lin Yi felt a lot more comfortable in his chest. The vast and boundless pure energy in his body had already begun to break through the bottleneck. It worked hard bit by bit in the meridians and gradually filled up. Lin Yi carefully absorbed and controlled the pure energy in his body, letting it flow into every meridian in his body. Wherever the pure energy flowed through, it quickly fused with the previous pure energy, and the nearby injuries were also quickly healed. Because some injuries were more serious than others, Lin Yi was like walking on a tightrope. He didn't dare to be careless at all. He used the art of dragon mastery to guide the pure energy, sometimes fast, sometimes slow. At this moment, Lin Yi's body was already soaked with dirty blood and sweat, and he looked very haggard. Lin Yi was like a person covered in blood. If it wasn't for his rhythmic breathing and heartbeat that could tell that Lin Yi's body was very healthy, anyone who looked from afar would think that Lin Yi wouldn't be able to survive. Lin Yi slowly circulated the pure energy in his body. Finally, the pure energy had completed a full cycle in his body, and all his injuries were healed at this moment. However, the energy from the space in the jade pendant didn't stop flowing in, so Lin Yi didn't dare to relax at all and continue to circulate the second stage of the art of dragon mastery. Under Lin Yi's guidance, the pure energy began to circulate a second time. Slowly from beginning to end, Lin Yi suddenly realized that the pure energy in his body had been filled to an unbelievable level. At the same time, Lin Yi felt like his entire body was exploding, and after a loud boom in his ears, he felt unprecedentedly relaxed. Finally, a breakthrough. At this moment, Lin Yi was already at the peak of the early phase of Earth class. Phew! Lin Yi Book Ocean Pavilion, he let out a long breath, feeling full of strength from head to toe. There was a feeling of relaxation that he had never felt before, and it was very comfortable. As Lin Yi let out that breath, he slowly opened his eyes. At this moment, Lin Yi had regained his previous vigor. The moment Lin Yi broke through, Feng Sanwang also let out a long sigh of relief. He walked over, but when he saw the condition of the man's face, he frowned. As expected, it's corpse disintegration powder. Lin Yi was familiar with corpse powder from his previous job. This was a kind of powder that could quickly rot the skin and bones. Once it was sprinkled on the body, it would instantly corrode the body. Of course, this wasn't the strongest corpse powder. The stronger corpse powder, as long as a little bit was sprinkled, it could corrode the whole body. At this moment, the man in black's face was like this. It was completely corroded. Even half of the bones were corroded. Under the black mask, there was a yellow liquid that emitted a rancid smell. It was very disgusting. Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi, on the other hand, were so disgusted that they wanted to puke. What's going on? When I was healing and breaking through, did someone come here? Lin Yi frowned. Although he asked this, he was almost sure that in this alley, other than the four of them, there shouldn't be anyone else. Otherwise, if there was an unfamiliar aura, Lin Yi would definitely be able to sense it. But Lin Yi didn't. There shouldn't be anyone else. Feng Sanwang frowned and shook his head. When you were sitting on the ground, there should be four of us in the alley. Four of us? Then there shouldn't be anyone sprinkling corpse powder. If that's the case, then the man in black must have bitten the capsule in his mouth or some kind of mechanism on the mask before he died. Lin Yi thought back to the time when they were on the airport highway. That Mystic Class Peak late Phase Master was ruthless. If he could blow up his own head, then it wasn't surprising that the man in black could destroy his own face. That should be it. Feng Sanwang nodded. Before, although Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi were running around anxiously, there shouldn't be anyone else who entered the alley. Look at the other one. Lin Yi pointed at the other man in black not far away, but Lin Yi's eyes were better. With one look, he shook his head in disappointment and said, "It should be over, no need to look." Feng Sanwang didn't give up and walked over to take another look. Sure enough, he found that the other Mystic Class man in black had also changed beyond recognition. He couldn't be identified at all. No, these people are too cunning. Feng Sanwang said hatefully, "We don't even know who they are. Damn it. Forget it, I'll call someone to take care of the body, then we'll go and identify the body from before." Lin Yi said, "Oh, you have connections?" Feng Sanwang heard Lin Yi's words and was immediately happy. "Yang Huaijuan from the police station is a good brother of mine," Lin Yi said, "but as far as I know, the bodies have already been moved to the department." Feng Sanwang smiled bitterly. "We need to find someone from the department. My father-in-law is..." Lin Yi shrugged and smiled. "Father-in-law?" Feng Sanwang paused. Xiao Xiao's father, Feng Tianlong. Su Shirhan knew and explained to Feng Sanwang. Feng Tianlong. Hiss. Feng Sanwang was shocked and took a deep breath. "What's wrong?" Lin Yi and Su Shirhan were confused by Feng Sanwang's expression. "Nothing. I'm just surprised that Bro Lin's father-in-law is from the department." Feng Sanwang smiled bitterly. "Oh, I'll call him now." As Lin Yi spoke, he called Feng Tianlong and told him what happened here. As expected, the corpses had been moved to the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, but until now, no one had claimed or admitted that these people were related to them. Lin Yi's body was covered in blood, so the four of them returned to the parking lot under the surprised gazes of many people. No one dared to ask anything. Su Shirhan and Cheng Yi were wearing big sunglasses, and Feng Sanwang looked cool. So many people thought that these four were not good people. They thought that they were from the underworld, so no one dared to provoke them. Feng Sanwang sent Lin Yi and Su Shirhan back to the villa in Shueshang district, and he drove Ching Yi back to Shueshang Hotel. Meng Yao and Yushu opened the door and saw Su Shirhan first. They were surprised and happy. "Shirhan sis, Shu, and I missed you." Meng Yao warmly invited Su Shirhan into the room, but when her eyes fell on Lin Yi, her whole body trembled. She was shocked. "Lin Yi, what happened to you?" "It's nothing. I fought with a gangster and got some blood." Lin Yi didn't want Meng Yao and Yushu to worry, so he said it calmly, as if it was a very simple thing. "Are you really okay?" Meng Yao blinked and looked at Lin Yi suspiciously. After all, Lin Yi's situation was a bit too bad. His clothes were torn in a few places, and it was all black blood. Even Lin Yi's face and mouth were full of blood. Meng Yao couldn't help but suspect that Lin Yi had serious internal injuries, but he couldn't say it. "I'm really okay." Lin Yi nodded. "Let Detective Shu check." Yushu ran over and touched Lin Yi's body left and right, front and back. "Ahem. Shu, if you want to take advantage of Lin Yi, just say it. You don't have to use the excuse of checking his body, okay? That's the trick of weird uncles." Meng Yao was speechless at Yushu's behavior. Wow, Shield Bro's muscles seem to be stronger. After the check by Detective Shu, Shield Bro is intact. Oh, it should be the upper body. The lower body hasn't been checked yet. Yushu looked at Lin Yi's lower body curiously. "Okay, Shu, there's no need to check. Shirhan sis is here. Can't you be more normal?" Meng Yao was speechless, but seeing that Lin Yi was really fine, she was relieved. "I'm very normal?" Yushu said confusedly. "Huh." Shirhan started laughing as well. Yushu had always been like this, always surprising people with her actions. "You guys play? I'm going to take a shower." With that, Lin Yi got up and walked to his room. Not only was he covered in blood, but he'd also just broken through. He was still sweaty and uncomfortable. "I'll go to bed after that. You guys rest early too. Han still needs to help me with rehearsals tomorrow." "Okay." Shirhan smiled at Lin Yi and nodded. Her eyes were full of gentleness and worship. Yushu looked at Lin Yi's back and then looked at Shirhan. Her face was a little strange. "Wait, it seems like there's something going on." "Shirhan sis, there's something wrong between you and Shield Bro." "What? What's wrong?" Shirhan was recalling how Lin Yi stood up again and again. When Yushu suddenly asked her, her face turned red and she stuttered. Meng Yao wanted to tell Shu not to talk nonsense. Shirhan was a superstar. How could there be something going on with Lin Yi? But seeing Shirhan's stuttering expression, she was a little confused. Did something really happen between these two? So she didn't continue to say the words that were at the tip of her mouth. Instead, she looked at Shirhan suspiciously. "Oh, there's something going on. Shirhan sis, what did you and Shield Bro do just now? Don't tell me you've already pushed Shield Bro down?" Yushu looked at Su Shirhan, her eyes gleaming. How is that possible?" Shirhan said subconsciously. "Then what's wrong with you guys? Why do I feel that something is wrong?" Yushu continued to ask. Anyone could tell that Yushu was joking and changing the topic, but Su Shirhan took it seriously. She even said that she admired Lin Yi. What did this mean? A man who could make a superstar admire him was really not simple. Could it be that Su Shirhan really liked him because he saved the damsel in distress? "You've misunderstood. I just think that he's very powerful, but I'm not in love with him." Su Shirhan saw the two's expression and quickly explained, "And I'm a superstar. How can I fall in love with someone so easily?" "That's true." Meng Yao heard Su Shirhan's words and nodded. Lin Yi was so powerful, it was possible that she simply admired him. After all, she admired Lin Yi's skills and perseverance. She just didn't say it out loud. After all, Su Shirhan was someone who had seen the world. After a short moment of panic, she easily changed the topic and the three of them started talking about other things. Su Shirhan had participated in large-scale press conferences, and she could easily deal with all those tricky questions from the media. Not to mention Meng Yao and Yushu. Lin Yi went back to his room, took a shower, and sat on the bed cross-legged to continue practicing. He needed to stabilize his strength and level. Meng Yao, Yushu, and Su Shirhan, on the other hand, were tired after talking for a while. They went upstairs to shower and get ready to rest. The Miss and Shu showered together. Although Su Shirhan was very familiar with them, she didn't want to bathe with them. She could only bathe alone after they were done. Meng Yao was wiping herself with a towel after showering when she suddenly asked, "Right, Shu? Didn't we ask Lin to get the underwear? Why didn't he give it to us? Did he keep it for himself?" "Oh, no way. Shield Bro isn't that perverted, is he?" Yushu blinked. "If Shield Bro likes it, I can actually give it to him for free." Ahem. Maybe it's because Han Jingjing was there yesterday, and she came back with us, so he didn't take it out. He came back with Su Shirhan today, so he didn't have a chance to take it out. We'll ask him tomorrow. Meng Yao guessed. That's possible, Yushu said, inside the private room of the restaurant in Shueshang Hotel. Today, a small leader of the East Sea side of the Fire Wolf Gang invited the person in charge of the East Sea side of the Fire Wolf Gang to a banquet. The leader was, naturally, Li Biaohan from Donghai Industry University, and the new person in charge of the Firewolves was Jiang Wen. Jiang Wen would take over all the businesses and affairs of the Firewolves in Donghai City, continuing to think of ways to earn more money. Li Biaohan brought two friends with him today. One was Niadeo from the Hidden House Shuang, and the other was Tiger Right from the Hidden House Yu. These two were people of high status, and Li Biaohan had them accompany him. It was enough to show how much importance he placed on Jiang Wen. Li Biaohan, on the other hand, had heard of Jiang Wen's exploits. Jiang Wen laughed and sat on the seat of honor. After Jiang Wen sat down, the dishes were served like flowing water. They started chatting, but since Li Biaohan had Zhuang Niadeo and Right Coiling Tiger with him, Jiang Wen didn't talk too much about the Firewolves. After all, there were some things he couldn't let them know. After 3 rounds of drinking, Li Biaohan received a phone call. He looked at the caller ID and made an embarrassed gesture to Jiang Wen. "Our Firewolves." With that, he picked up the phone. "Hello, I'm Li Biaohan. Biaohan bro, Lotzi and I were at the antique market yesterday, and we ran into 2 people that looked like noble house disciples. They should be practitioners, but we don't know which house they're from. I've asked around with Lotzi, but we didn't get any information. That's why I'm calling you." It was one of Li Biaohan's lackeys, AOZ. He was one of the 2 gangsters that stopped Lin Yi and Lu Jinghan at the antique market. "Oh, did you offend them?" As soon as Li Biaohan heard this, he knew that AOZ and La Zi had offended the 2 cultivators who were suspected to be from aristocratic families. After their investigation was fruitless, they came to him for help. "It's not really offended, it's like this." And so, AOZ explained the situation to Li Biaohan in detail. "I see. If that's the case, send me the pictures of the 2 of them. But according to what you said, I don't think they'll bother you anymore. You don't have to be afraid." Li Biaohan comforted them. The antique market was under the protection of Li Biaohan's men, and it was also one of Li Biaohan's usual income. Since it was the stall owner's request, AOZ and Lotzi couldn't say that they did anything wrong. It was just that they didn't find out where the 2 people came from, and they were afraid, so they called him for help. "Okay, Biaohan bro, I'll send it to you now," AOZ said quickly. After hanging up, Li Biaohan explained to Jiang Wen, "Our Fire Wolf Gang is protecting an antique market, and 2 of our lackeys offended 2 people who seem to be from noble houses. They should be practitioners. They didn't find out where they came from, and they're afraid that they'll take revenge, so they called me for help." With that, Li Biaohan told Jiang Wen about what happened. "Your 2 lackeys are quite careful, but it's settled, and the stall owner even gave them 2 cauldrons." "It should be fine now," Jiang Wen said. "Cauldrons." You Coiling Tiger paused. There weren't many alchemists, and these 2 were practitioners. They went to buy cauldrons. Were they alchemists too? But which alchemist didn't have their own cauldrons? Why would they go to a stall to buy a fake one? Shaking his head, You Coiling Tiger said, "It's probably 2 noble houses who want to study alchemy for fun. Even the lowest level alchemist wouldn't go to a place like that to buy a cauldron." "Haha, yeah, I forgot that Lil Bro you is an expert in this field." Li Biaohan laughed and nodded. As he spoke, his phone rang twice. Evidently, he received a text message. Li Biaohan opened the message, and with one look, he knew who one of the people was. Damn, isn't this Lin E? Li Biaohan pointed at the phone screen. Lin E. Zaniato didn't think much of it, but you coiling tiger heard this name and immediately went over. He looked at Li Biaohan's phone screen and immediately recognized the two people. These two are our classmates. One is Lin E, and the other is Han Jingjing. They seem to be quite close. Chapter 1997. Mysterious Phone Call, Part 1. As he spoke, Jiang Wen walked over and glanced at Li Biaohan's phone. His face changed and hatred flashed across his face. Lin E. What? You know this Lin E. Browen? Li Biaohan paused. Humph, this kid's always going against me, even stealing my woman. Jiang Wen humphed coldly, not hiding anything. But this kid's a bit weird. You guys shouldn't mess with him before you have absolute confidence. I don't have any confidence either. That's true. Right Coiling Tiger nodded and said, this young master can't wait to kill him, but this guy can actually kill 3 Earth Stage in one move. I don't dare to fight him head on. I heard that he's a refiner too. Huh? That's not right. Why would he buy such a trashy cauldron if he's a refiner? Right Coiling Tiger didn't understand why Lin E and Han Jingjing would go to the antique market. Even the lowest level refiner wouldn't go there to buy cauldrons, would they? Usually, those who went there were beginners and newbies who didn't know alchemy before. They bought them for research, but who would use trash cauldrons like that? Right Coiling Tiger was suspicious. What was this Lin E doing? Buying trash like that? Who knows? That Lin E has too many weird things going on. Jiang Wen frowned. Forget it. Let's not talk about him. Today's a happy day. It'll ruin the mood. Yes, since these two are Lin E and Right Coiling Tiger's classmates, they probably won't take revenge on our lackeys. They don't have time for that. Li Biaohan nodded and texted his lackeys back, telling them that everything was fine. Then, he started eating and drinking with Jiang Wen and the others. Ancient House Feng. Feng Tianhu's face was dark to the point of being scary. The woman sitting in front of him, on the other hand, had a gloating expression on her face. Feng Tianhu had already received the news that Feng Erbing's team had been annihilated. He never would have thought that an Earth-class early phase master would be able to kill a middle phase master and then level up after killing a middle phase master. What kind of logic was this? Could it be that his Earth rank was Earth rank and others' Earth rank was not? Or was it that his Earth stage was more powerful than others, already equivalent to a heaven rank? Feng Tianhu couldn't figure it out. I say, Tianhu, is your information wrong? You sent my mystic late phase peak master to die, and your own Earth class mid phase master died as well. Why does that little bastard have so many masters by his side? The lady said sarcastically. She wasn't as angry about Sanlei's death anymore. Sister-in-law, this person wasn't sent by second brother. He's Su Shirhan's friend. Feng Tianhu's heart was bleeding. He spent so much effort to train his trusted aides, an Earth-class mid-phase Master Feng Erbing and a Mystic-class late-phase peak Master Feng Senku, but they died just like that. Wasn't it too unworthy? As expected, impulsiveness was the devil. Originally, he only wanted to borrow his sister-in-law's hand to kill Su Shirhan and disgust Feng Tianlin a little. He wanted him to know the pain of losing his own flesh and blood, but he didn't think that his sister-in-law's subordinate, Feng Sanlei, would be defeated. Feng Tianhu panicked and sent his Earth-class mid-phase Master Feng Erbing. He thought that would be easy for an Earth-class mid-phase master to go to the common world and kill someone. But now, he didn't kill the person and nothing happened to the other party, but his own people were all dead. This feeling made him want to puke blood. Feng Tianhu was depressed to death. There was no place for him to reason with. He didn't dare to tell the people within the Feng family, and he didn't dare to spread the news. If his father knew that he was dealing with his second brother's daughter, then he wouldn't have a good ending. Therefore, Feng Tianhu had no choice but to suffer in silence. I didn't expect that little girl to be so good at seducing people. She's as flirtatious as her mother. She actually got an even more powerful master. The lady said hatefully, "Yeah, second sister-in-law, let's not talk about this for now. If this gets out, not only will we lose face, we won't be able to explain it to our father." Feng Tianhe reminded. He was afraid that his brainless sister-in-law would spill the news. That would be big trouble. "Don't worry, I don't want to fight with your second brother." The lady said, "We'll let that little bastard be arrogant for a while. When your second brother becomes the head of the family, I'll be the wife of the head of the family. At that time, it'll be easy to mobilize a few people to deal with that little bastard, huh?" Feng Tianhe froze. He didn't expect his sister-in-law to be so brainless. Couldn't she see that his intentions were known to everyone? Didn't she know that he wanted to fight for the head of the family? What's wrong? The lady froze when she saw Feng Tianhe's weird expression. "It's nothing, second sister-in-law. Go back and rest. I'll go see how Nitian is doing." Feng Tianhe didn't want to talk to his sister-in-law anymore. He turned around and walked to Nitian's room. In the room opposite Chengyi's in East Ocean Industry University's Shueshang Hotel, Zhang Duopan was drinking with Fan Ganhe. Chengyi was supposed to go shopping tonight, but she brought Lin Yi instead of him. Zhang Duopan felt that Lin Yi was his nemesis. His phone rang. Zhang Duopan took out his phone and looked at the caller ID. He froze. It was a hidden number. He couldn't see the caller ID, so he didn't know who it was. Usually, Zhang Duopan would just hang up when he got calls like this. Most of them were scams like winning a prize, and he didn't want to waste time with them. But after drinking, he was still pissed. He wanted to find someone to mess with. Since there was a scammer at his doorstep, he wouldn't hold back. "Hello, who are you looking for?" Zhang Duopan picked up the phone. "Zhang Duopan, right?" The voice of a duck came from the other side. He couldn't tell if it was a man or a woman. It was as if the voice was changed through a voice changer. It made people feel uncomfortable. "Who are you?" Zhang Duopan frowned. He didn't expect the person to know his name. "Don't care who I am. I'm here to give you good news." "Don't worry about who I am. Fastest text update, book Ocean Pavilion. No ads," the voice said. "Good news? Who are you?" "If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up." Zhang Duopan was confused. The person seemed to be a scammer. If you don't want to get first place in the freshman party, then hang up. Pretend I didn't say anything." The person laughed coldly. Could it be that Su Shirhan was afraid? Zhang Duopan was dazed. He didn't think there was anything special about the man's idea. Forget it if you don't believe me. Pretend I didn't say anything." The man with the croaky voice wasn't happy that Zhang Duopan was still suspicious. "It's not that I don't believe you, but you have to tell me why?" Zhang Duopan smiled bitterly. "There's no why. I can't tell you the reason." The man with the croaky voice said, "You just need to know that this will affect Su Shirhan." "Okay, what if the school asks?" Zhang Duopan was still worried. "Are you stupid? If they ask, can't you tell the girl to say that it's a costume?" The man with the croaky voice said impatiently. "That's right." Zhang Duopan nodded. This was a good idea. This way, even if it didn't work, he wouldn't have to take any responsibility. He could explain that it was a costume, and even if it didn't work, he wouldn't lose anything. Having a chance was better than having no chance at all. Thinking up to here, Zhang Duopan said, "Okay, thank you, I will do it. If that's the case, then I won't say any more." The man with the croaky voice said, "Then, if it's done, how do I repay you?" Zhang Duopan asked. "No need," the man with the croaky voice said and hung up the phone. "That's strange. Could it be that he's Lin Yi's enemy?" Zhang Duopan looked at the phone and shook his head strangely. He really didn't know why the man did this. It was completely one-sided to help him. "What's wrong, Zhang bro?" Fan Ganhe quickly asked. "It's like this, just now a man with the croaky voice called me and said that he can help us get first place in the freshman party. Beat Su Shirhan." Zhang Duopan said and repeated the man's words to Fan Ganhe. "This is a good thing, Zhang bro." Fan Ganhe listened and said, "It doesn't matter if it's useful or not. We won't lose anything by trying." "I think so too. Then we have to hurry up. It's almost the freshman party. There's still a day tomorrow. so we have to get it done at night. Zhang Duopan said, Ganha, I'll leave this to you. Can you handle it? Don't worry, Zhang bro, I have a sister in another school. I'll ask her to come tomorrow night. No one knows her yet. No one will know. Fan Ganha nodded. Good, if what that man with the croaky voice said is true, then this is our chance. Zhang Duopan nodded. After a day of rehearsal, the medical major was quite familiar with it. They were full of confidence and prepared to participate in the freshman party. Does anyone have the confidence to get first place? After the last rehearsal, Su Shirhan waved her fist at everyone and asked. Yes. The answer was loud. With Su Shirhan participating, if they didn't get first place, then they might as well buy a piece of tofu and kill themselves. Although you coiling tiger, yellow hair, and purple hair weren't interested in performing on stage, this was more or less Boss Bai's honor. Boss Bai would be happy if they got first place, so you coiling tiger didn't dare to cause trouble. At night, the entrance of the school hall was decorated with lanterns and streamers. It was crowded with people. There were stalls set up by the student union everywhere. There were light sticks, drinks, snacks, and so on. Obviously, the student union was planning to earn some money from this event. Although the evening party was called the freshman party, sophomores, juniors, seniors, and even graduate students came to participate. Especially those student couples who arrived early in the auditorium, bought glow sticks and snacks, and took a good seat, ready to spend a romantic night. The male and female hosts in black suits and red evening gowns walked to the front of the stage behind the slowly rising curtain. The two hosts could be considered the prettiest girls in the school, and while they weren't at the top, they weren't as famous as Meng Yao, Yu Shu, or Xin Yan, who had their names on the school's BBS list the moment they entered the school. The two's elegance and handsomeness still won them a round of applause and cheers. However, both of them were second-year members of the student council, so most of the cheers were from the older students. The freshmen were only moved. Dear leaders, teachers, students, good evening. The male host bowed and said, I am a host, Lai Yiming. Lai Yiming's words caused another burst of screams from the audience. It seemed that Lai Yiming was also a celebrity in the university. I'm the host, Su Xiao. The female host followed the male host and bowed. May everyone have an unforgettable and enjoyable night. The 39th freshman party of Donghai Industry University begins now. Lai Yiming and Su Xiao announced together. Another round of applause sounded from the audience. The program of the gala officially began, and the first to go on stage was a group dance brought by the freshmen from the English department. Girls from the English department made up the majority of the students in the university, and the dancers were all beauties. As soon as they went on stage, there was a burst of cheers and screams from the audience. Along with the loud music, the spotlights flashed, and the students in the audience couldn't help but wave the glow sticks in their hands after the English department dance. It was a boy from the computer science department who sang The Brother Who Slept on My Upper Bunk. This song had a strong campus vibe, and when the boy's melancholy and hoarse voice sounded, it completely won over the students in the audience. The brother who slept on my upper bunk, you were silent. The questions you once asked me. Now no one asks, although there were very few bunk beds in the dorms. This song was about the friendship between dorm mates. Therefore, this song resonated with many students who had just moved into the dorm. The male student's voice wasn't very good, but the song he chose was very good. It resonated with all the students present. Even the freshmen, the seniors, and especially the seniors who were about to graduate, started singing along with him. Many people's eyes were already brimming with tears as they listened to the singing. This was a party to welcome the freshmen, but wasn't it also the last party for the seniors? Therefore, many people were filled with emotion. This song could be said to be a success. At the very least, it wouldn't make it out of the top 10. The first two programs could be said to be a good start. They were both very good, and they received good responses. However, the third program, which was supposed to be the finale, had a problem. The third program was a piano solo by a girl from the chemistry department. This girl was also a professional piano player with a grade 10 certificate. However, Because it was her first time performing on such a big stage, she was probably a bit nervous. She played a few notes wrongly, and this caused the program to be ruined. Halfway through, the girl became more and more nervous. She suddenly dropped the piano and ran off the stage in tears. This immediately made the atmosphere of the scene awkward. According to the program's schedule, the girl's piano solo would only end in about 10 minutes. This suddenly messed up the program's schedule a bit. The male and female hosts quickly ran up to the stage to save the situation and said some comforting and encouraging words. The fourth program was a medical program. Fortunately, everyone had rehearsed well, so it didn't matter if they went on stage early. After some simple preparation, the curtain opened again. The props were already set up, and everyone was in position. Under the cheerful music, the program began. Story of Youth was about life in school. It sang about the beautiful university life. There was love, friendship, and a nervous rush before exams. The theme of the whole song was the epitome of university life. Therefore, when Sue Sherhan appeared, the atmosphere of the freshman party was pushed to a new level. That you're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.